What is going on, y'all? Welcome back to the Media Goose channel. It is I, the Media Goose, your friend Ryan, and the goose is loose, baby. Ha! I am here today to talk about Daredevil Born Again Season 2, Episode 1. Daredevil is my favorite series of all time, so I was excited to see this coming back. Now, I'm currently rewatching season 1 of the Netflix show to start doing a season-by-season breakdown for the channel. Let me give you my brief thoughts on Daredevil Born Again Season 1, because that probably won't be out for like a month, because I have to watch every season and every episode, so that takes some time. But it was very hit or miss for me. I think that behind the scenes, there was a lot of chaos with that production. Apparently, about halfway through production, Wilson Fisk's actor, Vincent D'Onofrio, and Charlie Cox, the actor playing Daredevil, went to Marvel and were like, hey, this isn't good. This is not the show that we did on Netflix, and y'all need to do something to save this. And at that point, they scrapped the showrunners, and they brought in new showrunners who are running season 2. Now, there was a big creative shift when that happened. And because of that, there was some disjointed aspects of season 1. And frankly, there was a lot I didn't like. I felt crazy because while a lot of people were celebrating this show, I was not happy. I think Daredevil Born Again Season 1 is very clearly the 4th best season behind the 3 seasons on Netflix. Season 1 went way too... It honed in on Matt and Fisk way too much. The thing that worked about this show on Netflix was the full ensemble of characters, the way everything connected. And a lot of times season 1 felt like different shows. The lighting was frankly horrific in my opinion, especially as much of a fan of the original as I am. The original show on Netflix had such atmospheric lighting. It was dark and not... I don't even know how to put it. But season 1 didn't work for me in a lot of ways because of that. The lack of an ensemble, the lack of a cohesive visual style. I think that the scenes in the law office were overexposed and bad. Just a lot of the stuff that went well for this season was at the end of season 1. And there are things that I assumed would have been left in season 1 about those criticisms are still there. The stuff with McDuffie, I don't care. Matt is undercover right now, and it really, to me, feels like writing-wise, they need to keep the law stuff interesting while Matt is not there, and it doesn't really work. The stuff with her and the district attorney who's kind of pushing them, I don't know, it feels hollow without Matt there. I feel like, you know, let me get into this episode. I don't want to spend too much time talking about season 1, as I'm going to do a full review of that season at some point. But for this episode, it starts off with a recap of season 1 and the New York is Back, the BB Urich puff piece that we see littered throughout this first episode. And that stuff also didn't work for me in season 1. It very much felt like a different show, and it kind of does here. I understand the necessity for it and what they're attempting, but it just feels very heavy-handed. And it's cartoonish. In the same way it felt in season 1 where, yeah, I get what you're doing, but you didn't have to fully representational instead of presentational. You don't have to hit viewers over the head with everything. You can leave things to interpretation. But then we get into the stuff with Daredevil, getting into the Northern Star. It had a very distinctly Daredevil Season 1, Episode 1 feel when he attacked Turk on the docks. It also had like a Batman Begins feel. It felt Batman-ish for that first scene with Daredevil. And unlike last season and previous iterations of Daredevil, this Daredevil is not holding back. It is bloody. It is gory. You see somebody's bones and cartilage come out. It's disgusting. And Matt, it feels like he's enjoying this. It feels a little bit like Affleck's Batman, where he's not pulling his punches. He's reveling in beating these guys' asses. And for the stuff they're involved in, kind of get it. And then they end up sinking the ship, showing that there were precautions in place for the Daredevil arriving. And I thought it was a really good opening scene with Daredevil, him coming out on shore as you see the boat sinking. The suit looks incredible. Man, what a great suit. The all black with the red DD. The way he allows the camera to see the symbol before he before he gets rid of the camera. He's being tactical now. He's allowing the monstrous side of Daredevil to come out. And I think that's great because he's been forced underground by Fisk. He's hiding. Him and Karen have to hide. I love the misdirect of hearing the punching bag get hit, and that's always been Matt when we see it, but it's Karen this time. And they are living together, and they are together. And it's beautiful for them, but as I'm rewatching season 1, Foggy Nelson is a character I really want to play at some point in my life. So I see things from his perspective, and I feel like it's kind of intentional that Foggy is dead, and now Karen and Matt can happen, and can explore this without the anchor around their neck of how does Foggy feel, because didn't he have feelings for Karen? All the way back in season 1 on Netflix, when they have that little date with Miss Cardenas, I believe. They're on like a date, but Karen is probing him for questions about Matt. So part of me does wonder if Foggy does come back, what he would feel about them coming together. But I don't think Foggy will come back. I think that would be messed up. The only way I see Foggy coming back is if it's after Secret Wars when the universe resets. And if that's the case, cast me. So then after the credits are amazing. We're at the law office with Kirsten and Cherry. I like Cherry. I like his part of it, but yeah, I don't know. Kirsten, everything about the law offices didn't really work for me last year in the first season, and I don't feel that much more enthusiastic about this season. I feel like what is likely going to happen is that Kirsten either gets like taken because she is so unwilling to acquiesce, and that makes Matt come out, or maybe she's killed. That feels extreme, but I feel like she represents the morality of Nelson, Murdoch, and Paige, and that's why she's there. And we see the other DA. This is because they're prosecuting the swordsman, Jack Duquesne, who was in Hawkeye first. And I do love the involvement of Heather. I love the way they're utilizing her as Wilson Fisk's mental health board member, I think was the title they gave her on his like cabinet. And one of my biggest critiques of last season was how quickly they dispatched of Muse. I hope that what we're doing here, I don't think they would bring Muse back, but maybe Heather becomes Muse. Maybe her PTSD is going to lead to a psychotic break for her. In season 1, she talked about the interest she had in the masked vigilantes and masked personas. So I think it would make sense. Maybe the Muse we saw was kind of like the end of Joker 2, where you realize we've been watching the person who inspired the Joker. So maybe Heather becomes Muse, and then her and Daredevil fight, but she doesn't have the physical training, so we'll see. I do think it's pretty interesting what they're doing with her, though, cutting to Muse as if he is still in the room. I really enjoyed that. It kind of reminded me of when they brought back Skeet Ulrich in Scream 5 and 6, except it was written well, unlike the Scream ones. The Scream ones were pretty bad, in my opinion. Then we get the restaurant. I believe it's a Greek restaurant, and they're getting pressured by, I think it's the ACTF. No, AVC, whatever it is. The ICE, the Fisk Gestapo. They're roughing up this restaurant, and it kind of gave me World War II vibes, or even civil rights vibes of the Underground Railroad, and there were places you could go that would protect you. That's kind of what this restaurant feels like, and I like that you see Matt go there as Matt instead of being Daredevil. A lot of times the other persona is Daredevil, but in this case, Murdoch is the other persona. And I really enjoy that aspect. One of my favorite actors, Matthew Lillard, is in this season as Mr. Charles, and I'm really intrigued by what he's doing. I really enjoyed his performance. I think that I love his energy when he walks in on that meeting going on in Fisk's office, and they're like, "Who are you? What are you doing?" And he immediately shoves it back in everybody's face. The attorney general is there saying something that I think a lot of the fans were saying last year, which mayor can't do martial law. I don't think the governor can even do that. So what the hell are we doing? But then he gets a call from Valentina. I don't remember her full name, but Miss Fontaine, Julia Louis-Dreyfus. And it's going to be interesting. So I think Mr. Charles is CIA because he says he's from whatever town he says he's from. It's where the CIA headquarters is. So it seems like Fontaine is working closely with him. And it's going to be interesting to see where those lines fall in terms of authority. It's interesting to see how Fisk is at this point. Fisk, I think, is almost at the mercy of the position he's in as mayor, where he can't be as brash as he would typically be. Even when he's meeting Mr. Charles and he says, "I didn't mean to offend," and Wilson Fisk says, "Well, you did." Last time somebody offended Vanessa, he crushed their head with a car door. So this Fisk is very much handcuffed by the public perception he now has. And I think we're going to see that wear on him throughout this season to the point where he will be out of office by the end of it, and it'll probably be his own choice. Whether he's arrested or whatever happens, 25th Amendment, I don't know what that would entail for the mayor, like how to impeach, but I think we're going to see the wear and tear of not having all of the power he would like to have. I also think Vanessa will be involved more. I wouldn't be surprised if she ends up betraying Wilson. And I also, when I said earlier, the good thing was how they brought the ensemble back in. I like the fact that I kind of feel like all the people around Fisk are going to turn on him. Like Daniel, I feel like he keeps getting promoted higher and higher up, and he's not going to realize how much could get pinned on him, and BB will probably save him from that. And then there's Buck, who shoots the captain from the Northern Starship, And there was a level of he didn't struggle to kill that man, but he did acknowledge, like, yeah, you did everything you were supposed to do, and even still, you're dead. So I wouldn't be surprised if we're leading to a story where everybody that Fisk has around him either turns on him directly or individually pursues their own self-interests, and it all compounds and, like a house of cards, collapse around Fisk. So ultimately, this was better than last season in a lot of ways, but I do still have some things that have me a little nervous. This is a Disney show. I shouldn't be watching a scene and wondering, did you color grade this? Why are there such drastic shifts in the visual style? It feels lazy. I don't want to be overcritical. I'm going to give it a chance, but there's still some shortcomings in my opinion. Let me know what you think, though. Do you think that I'm right? There are some of the concerns from last season still coming up, or are you fully enjoying this? There's no wrong answer. I think there's a lot of great about this episode, and I love the place that Daredevil is at, where he's almost more monstrous and less contained as Matt has previously been. I also think it's interesting that neither Matt nor Fisk has revealed the other. Primarily Fisk not revealing that Matt is Daredevil. I think that could happen at some point. I also think there was that skit of the person mocking Wilson Fisk, and it felt so obvious that it would be assumed that was BB Urich that I'm wondering if it's not BB who's doing that, and there might be somebody else attacking Fisk in that way. Maybe Foggy? I don't know. Maybe Foggy knew what was happening at Red Hook, and he knew what he came across, so he had to fake his own death. Maybe Fontaine was involved. I don't know. It's going to be really interesting, though. I love the end of the episode when Matt gets unmasked in front of all of the cops, and he has that PTSD episode because of Cherry's heart getting to the point of dying. Like, he's reaching that same point that Foggy did. So Matt gets overtaken because of the trauma from the Foggy incident, and then Bullseye kills all the cops in the room. I loved that ending. I think Bullseye is going to be the most interesting character in this season, because if you haven't seen Daredevil Season 3 on Netflix, please do. His performance, Wilson Bethel's performance as Poindexter, Bullseye, is breathtaking. It gives me, like, Memento vibes and the haunted nature of the character. I just love that character so much, and I like the idea that him and Matt will have to form a reluctant alliance. Especially since it seems like Matt won't have the Punisher or Spider-Man to call because they are otherwise occupied, and everyone keeps swearing up and down that those characters aren't going to cross over. Those are 3 separate projects, so I'll believe it until it proves to be wrong. So guys, I'm excited about this season to see where it goes. I'm hoping that some of the things I'm talking about like the color grading and stuff like that, and the law offices, I hope that more comes of those stories and we get clear kind of reasoning. Like, maybe it's a style choice to jar us out of the world of Daredevil and back into the kind of the procedural side of things. But without Matt or any character that we really care about in that space, it is hard to care about it. But I'm excited, guys. Let me know what you thought of episode 1 down below. The Goose is out.